Well, today our journey takes us to Heckwelder Place, which is a very small alley behind the Central Moravian Church here in Bethlehem. And today we're going to check out what was the second place of worship in the old Moravian community before Central Moravian Church was built in the early 1800s. And among the more notable participants, patriots who worshiped here during that period were George Washington, his wife Martha, John Adams, Samuel Adams, Ben Franklin, John Hancock, Count Pulaski, and the Marquis de Lafayette.
The first place of worship in the village was the second building constructed in the community, known as the Gemein House or Clergy House, which has its own marker. Built in 1751 when the Moravian community outgrew its first worship space in the Gemein House, the chapel has been serving the community ever since. Music-loving Moravians would gather there for worship services, led by prominent members of the community. Bishop Nichman, whose name is mentioned on the marker, has a school named after him in the Bethlehem area school district. As the 18th century progressed, the American Revolution began to stir, and its nearness to so many significant locations meant that Moravian Bethlehem received many distinguished visitors. Martha Washington stayed at the Sun Inn and attended services in the chapel, as did her husband. John Adams was a great admirer of the Moravians. The Marquis de Lafayette lived in Bethlehem while recovering from his wounds at the Battle of Brandywine, and he went to the chapel too. The chapel also hosted a delegation of Iroquois chieftains, as described on a plaque outside the building. The Moravians opened their doors to most anyone and everyone. Gradually, of course, it became apparent that the chapel, beautiful and beloved as it was becoming too small to serve the needs of the growing community. Construction began on a new sanctuary, which was completed in 1806 and is still used today. It's known as the Central Moravian Church. The chapel is used for worship at 9 a.m., September through May, and for weddings and funerals. The chapel is a small, intimate space seating about 180 people. Chapel organist Richard Miller and the chapel choir provide music for Sunday services in the chapel, and a children's message is typically part of the 45-minute worship service.